He has no idea where he is. He doesn't even know what year it is. Completely lucid, sharp as anyone I've ever evaluated. He played every single one of them. We knew. We always knew. That is the same man, evaluated dozens of times by dozens of trained psychiatrists, and every single time, he walked out with exactly the diagnosis he needed. So how does one man walk into room after room of trained professionals and walk out every single time with exactly what he came for? The first time a psychiatrist put him in a room and asked him questions, he already knew what answer the room needed to hear. It was early in his legal exposure. The evaluation was standard procedure, a competency hearing, which is just a formal way of asking whether a defendant understands the charges against him well enough to stand trial. He apparently did not. He stared at walls. He gave fragmented, disconnected answers. One evaluator later described him as appearing genuinely disoriented. The finding came back, incompetent to stand trial. Proceedings stalled. The clock stopped. That was performance number 1. By the time a second evaluation was ordered, different facility, different examiner, the legal pressure had shifted. Now he needed to appear functional, cooperative, grounded. He was. The second psychiatrist found no signs of the disorientation the first had documented. The notes described a man who was coherent, responsive, and oriented to time and place. Professionals. 2 opposite conclusions. 1 subject. What makes this pattern so precise is the calibration. He wasn't just faking illness or faking health. He was reading the room and delivering exactly the result that served his position at that moment. When incompetency bought him time, he was incompetent. When demonstrating sanity meant a better outcome, he was the sharpest man in the building. A third evaluation produced a third result, tailored to a third legal need. At some point, the files should have started talking to each other. The inconsistencies were documented. The reversals were on paper. Someone, at some point, had everything they needed to see the pattern clearly. But were investigators any closer to understanding what they were actually dealing with? 3 evaluations, 3 completely different diagnoses. Same man, same files, sitting right there on the table. If you were the 4th psychiatrist walking in, would you have caught it, or would he have fooled you too? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because someone eventually did see through it, and what they found in those files changes everything. Someone eventually did see through it, and it started not with a new test, but with the old files. The break came when a forensic review pulled every prior evaluation into the same room at the same time. Not a new assessment, a comparison. A forensic psychiatrist, working not to evaluate him fresh, but to audit the record, laid the reports side by side and started reading them against each other. What emerged was not ambiguity. It was a pattern so clean, it almost looked deliberate. Because it was. The tool that cracked it was a structured malingering assessment, a standardized test designed specifically to catch people who fake or exaggerate psychiatric symptoms. It doesn't ask whether you're sick. It asks whether your symptoms behave the way real symptoms behave. Genuine psychosis is inconsistent in specific ways. Performed psychosis is inconsistent in different ways. The test knows the difference. When the results came back, they didn't just flag deception. They documented it across multiple evaluation windows. The reversals that had looked like recovery or relapse were reclassified. Every time he had flipped from incompetent to competent and back again, he had done so on a schedule that matched his legal needs, not his clinical picture. Then came the backstory detail that reframed everything. Before the first evaluation, there was already documentation of his ability to compartmentalize under pressure, to read authority figures and mirror what they expected. That was in the record before any psychiatrist ever sat across from him. It had just never been handed to the evaluators who needed it most. Once the pattern was formally named, the legal ground shifted. The competency findings that had stalled proceedings were reconsidered. He had spent years using the psychiatric system as a procedural exit door, and the door had finally been bricked shut from the other side. He fooled every psychiatrist he met, until the system he built his freedom on finally turned against him. Subscribe for more cases like this, and watch the next one now.